J-Love, baby.
Is it on? Is it on, honey? Is this thing recorded?
J-Love, baby.
What's up, YouTube land, Twitter land, Instagram land, Snapchat, Ride the Scruff, BGC, Chat, Facebook, Periscope, and last but not least, every single one of my bitches. Christian Mingle, and the lands all across the land. This is your girl, T.S. Madison, and I'm coming to you loud and incoming.
Hello and welcome back. This week I have on my brother here for next caller. So you want to give yourself a brief introduction?
Yeah, so I am Maddie's brother. My name is Nick Vanderhayden. Older brother by what we established last night, about 2 1/4, two and a third years.
Really, the specificities are really necessary here.
Right, yeah, and just up here visiting.
Yeah, Nick's coming up for the weekend, to visit me in my senior year. Gotta show him a good time, right? But, so I thought usually I say how we met is usually my first question, but I think it's pretty obvious how we met.
That's probably well established.
So, if you need any clearing up, just let me know.
Well, to be fair though, like the actual moment, right, like the true instance, we probably don't know.
Yeah,
we were both
I can
young.
assume how we met.
Yeah.
Anyway, so first question, how was our childhood to you? Like, what do you think?
Ooh, that's a very broad question.
Yeah, take it however you'd like.
I mean, definitely, right? Generally great. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think there was too much for us to really complain about, right? It was good. We were able to live in a comfortable, safe town. We had the luxury of that, and we had parents that, loved us, cared about us. They were sometimes stern, but I think for the right reasons. And yeah, I wish Menominee Falls maybe was a little bit cooler in some ways growing up, but in the end, I can't complain. Good. We had a good. I think our core family in particular was really, really tight knit, which is nice. Oh
yeah, I agree. I think our family is extremely close. Even now, like.
Oh, for sure. Now.
Yeah,
still,
now, like everybody lives pretty close to each other. Like we see each other regularly. Like we're always texting, like calling, FaceTiming, whatever.
Sometimes Snapchatting. But
Snapchatting.
Now Dad's off.
But Dad got rid of the Snapchat, so
yeah.
The group chat has definitely gotten smaller, but it's fine. Yeah, I would agree. Like, I wish Menominee Falls was a little cooler, and now, kind of, that we don't live there anymore, I feel like it is getting cooler.
Yeah,
which is frustrating.
I know. Like, the Garcade, like, if I had access to an arcade growing up, like, because when we were growing up there, I mean, the whole joke, but I think it really reigned true, was, like, under 21 entertainment was really, like, bowling alleys and movie theaters. That was kind of it.
And food.
Or, sitting around at a park, or food, or, bumming around in Walmart for a little bit, so.
Yeah, so I feel like Menominee Falls, to me, felt like a big, small town. Even though it would not be a small town, that's kind of what to me, it kind of felt like one.
Well, it is the state's largest village, I think.
Yeah,
so there's definitely some
mad
truth
respect.
There's some
Is it the state's? I thought it was the largest village in, like...
I think maybe I swayed you with that. I think I used to improperly say that because I used to think that, and then I Googled it. I think it's just the largest village in the state of Wisconsin.
Ah, okay. Well, there you go. But, do you have any, like, good specific memories that come to mind when you think about, like, our childhood or anything?
Oh, man. When I think of, like, one of the moments where we were really both just getting each other to giggle and just, there was no fighting between us or anything, do you remember our first vacation to Vegas? And we were kind of chilling around, having just, like, maybe not a pool day, but a pool afternoon, if you will. And we had each other rolling just... Unfortunately, kind of at the expense of this one dude, but I started riffing talking about this one dude who definitely had some man boobs going on, and I was joking with you about walking up and being like, "Ma'am, the adult pool is that way."
Oh my god! I literally was like, "Where is he going with this?" And now that you say that, like we were doing it in like SpongeBob voices,
right? Like the whole Squidward, like,
yeah. Oh my god, we were like peeing our pants in this pool. And they would, like, also that pool was so cool. They would, like, bring the drinks out to you, like.
Yeah, it was an interesting dynamic to be at Vegas with your family sub 21.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we definitely made it work, but there definitely were some ways where, you know, to your point, I was like, man, I could literally just spend all day out here if I could, you know, be served up drinks and stuff. Like,
oh, yeah. Now looking back, I'm like, okay, so can we go back?
yeah.
But,
and honestly, there were a lot of, just one little conclusion to this kind of question here, but I think there were a lot of, I think that was really a great vacation for our family and for us, like, you know, as siblings. I think we got along really well at multiple stages of that vacation.
No,
because we had our
agree.
own hotel room for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, mom and dad had theirs and we had ours.
well, the running joke with that vacation is that, like, they offer, you know, obviously it's Vegas, they offer upgrades for, like, oh, for this much more a night, you can upgrade to this suite, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, they said that, and, like, all of us were like, oh, no, he's not going to take that. Because, like, we were thinking, like, my dad's going to be frugal with this, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we did that, like, he spite upgraded the room. And I started crying because this is, like, right when frozen yogurt was, popular, just getting popular. And it was only in Vegas. Like, it didn't make it out to the Midwest yet. And so I started crying because I thought that meant we couldn't get frozen yogurt because we upgraded our room. And,
right.
And, like, now looking back, I'm like, it's like $5, Maddie. Like, I'm sure it's fine.
Well, it's always just such a different frame of reference when you're a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, one skill I wish I could get is just to, like, accept with myself that I was a kid and, like, stop having those moments where, like, you're trying to fall asleep and then you randomly remember that one insignificant yet embarrassing thing you did when you were, like, 12. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so yeah, it's fun to laugh on, but yeah, you just gotta put yourself in a proper frame of reference and just remember you were a kid, right? You had no concept of scales of economy of froyo versus room upgrades and whatnot.
Right. So with that, what was your favorite family vacation ever?
This is tough for me because obviously we just spent a lot of time talking about this Vegas one, which was really good. Top three I'm formulating in my head right now was first Vegas one, Thailand, and Costa Rica. I am going to put my foot down here, got to make a decision. I'm going to say Costa Rica.
Really, yeah.
I liked that we were able... Oh, maybe I should have put Slovenia in the top three. Whoops. Sorry, Grandpa, if you listen to this. But I like that we traveled that whole country.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a small country, so it's not like we were going super far distances,
Right.
but it is a ecologically diverse, maybe that's the right word, maybe more climate diverse country, right? Because we had, and unfortunately I won't remember the town names at the moment, but we had that one beach town in the southwest coast of Costa Rica, which was just ridiculously hot.
It was so hot.
Like, even just in the shade, I remember, like, sitting in the shade under a, like, umbrella on the beach, and, like, putting on sunscreen, because I was like, I feel like I'm going to still get sunburn, even under this, in the shade. But it was still kind of cool to have that beach town, and then we had that one, more mountainous area where...
Oh, Arenal, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Where it was actually, like, kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was, like, I remember, like...
Rainforesty.
Yeah, rainforesty, but, like, also, like, I remember putting on a hoodie, which was kind of weird when you were just days ago, or maybe just days later, we were just absolutely sweating our body weight out, right? And then, we never really spent any time in the capital city, though, did we? I think we a little bit.
Not really. No, I would agree. So I really liked that vacation that honestly did not come to my mind when I was, like, putting together this question. I really liked our Thailand trip just because it was way different than anything else. And plus, like, we were all kind of, like, adults on that trip. So
yeah,
it wasn't so much, like, we had to be, like, by mom and dad all the time. Like, it was just, like, do what you want, like, more open. And, I don't know, besides getting food poisoning so bad there.
Yeah, we all did to some degree, I think.
Oh, God. But my favorite has just always been Slovenia, personally, just because it's, like, no other vacation did we have, like, relatives at the, like, country that we were in that would like show us that well, I guess in Puerto Rico we did, but so Puerto Rico was like second to this. So either mine would have been Slovenia, Puerto Rico, or Thailand for me. Or honestly, when we did the road trip to Oklahoma, that was like so fun.
That was a good one. Was a good one.
So I don't know, those are all the ones that came to my mind, but I liked that we went to this country and like we're shown around by like relatives who we didn't, speak Slovenian, they didn't speak English, but somehow we like also had a good time and like pieced together talking to each other and
it's beautiful when you get that opportunity to like and I probably won't do the phrasing justice, but really get truly immersed in the culture. I mean, sitting down in somebody's house and having a home-cooked meal. I mean, how often do you get to do that on vacation?
And, like, 100% home-cooked.
Like, not like, I just, picked up this frozen stuff from the grocery store.
Like, they made their own noodles, the whole thing, their own broth. Like, nothing was put to a store-bought anything.
Right.
Which is just, like, so unique. And, like, it felt like you're in a whole different world. But,
definitely.
So my next question is, have you ever lied to mom and dad?
Yeah. I mean, of course, right? Doesn't every kid, it's to varying degrees, right? Okay. But every kid has to lie to their parents at least once.
Well, all right. Do you have any lies that are, like, kind of juicy or no?
Here, I'll give a story. That's kind of maybe it's a bit more elaborate than a lie, but, we got an hour.
Okay.
I'll talk it out. But, so I would have been about 14, maybe. So, starting to kind of come of age, starting to kind of, late middle school, early high school-ish time. And I go to have two buddies for a sleepover. I think one of them, was Jesse Peering, and the other, was James Wojciechowski. Unfortunately, it's the way my memory works is weird. So unfortunately, specific details like that can sometimes be hard for me to recall. But it was the night of spring forward, if you will, right? The clock was gonna, we were gonna kind of lose an hour, right? The clock was gonna move forward. And this wasn't an issue until until my buddy showed up. And then now that my buddy showed up, mom and dad were like, well, you guys need to be, like, in bed asleep by maybe 11. I think maybe 11. Which, when you're 14 and you're having a sleepover, like, wah, what's the point, right? And, we're 14, so it's not like we can, just go drive somewhere or, go to somebody else's place. We're all kind of committed to, our family's place at this point. So this was still at Cedar Ridge. So maybe I was even 13 yet.
Yeah,
and do you remember in that basement we had just that one window in sort of like that dug out area?
Yeah.
So that you could actually see into the outside world. So I don't know if I've ever told mom and dad this before, so if they listen to this will probably be news to them. But it started with, we just basically spent the whole night while they were awake kind of planning, prepping for how are we going to get around this sort of curfew we're having imposed upon us, right? And we watched the original Borat movie. We watched it, like, super quietly, and I just, like, had my finger, like, always on the ready on the power button of the TV remote, And so, like, one time Dad did come down, and we heard him coming down, and we already had all the lights off, and so we just turned off the TV, and just, like, we held still, holding our breath, and, he opens the door at the top of the stairwell, and he listens in, closes the door, slowly makes his way back up. And then we also talked about, we wanted to, at some point we wanted to make some noise, and so we were like, well, let's go out for a walk. And so we had this whole elaborate plan. We tested out who had the longest arm, because it was one of those windows where it had, like, a crank on the inside to get it to open. And so, I didn't want to leave, a way into our house absolutely wide open for, at the very least, insects and for it to get super cold, because it was kind of still, it was spring, right? Early spring. So, yeah, we had this whole elaborate thing. We get out, and I think it was Jesse Peering had the longest arm, and, he's reaching, trying to crank the window as far closed as possible, and we, quietly sneak a few blocks away from the house, and then, we just, it was like 1 a.m. or something, and we just walked around the neighborhood and just talked and socialized, do what we would have been doing normally if we weren't under a curfew. And then quietly made our way back in, and then went off to bed, and until whenever Mom and Dad listened to this podcast, as far as I'm aware, they were none the wiser.
So you've snuck out before.
Yeah.